In a quaint, sleepy town nestled between rolling hills and lush green fields, there lived a young man named James. He was known for his kind heart, gentle demeanor, and a mind brimming with big dreams. But despite his potential, James had one crippling weakness. He was perpetually dependent on others. Whether it was choosing a career path, making personal decisions, or even picking a book to read, James would turn to his friends, family, or teachers for guidance. He was like a boat adrift in the ocean, waiting for someone else to steer him toward shore. James's father, a man of few words but profound wisdom, noticed this pattern in his son. One evening, as the golden hues of the setting sun painted the sky, the two sat together on the porch of their modest home. The air was filled with the scent of blooming jasmine, and the crickets had begun their nightly symphony. Breaking the silence, his father said, "James, come with me tomorrow morning. I want to show you something important." Intrigued but unsure of what to expect, James nodded in agreement. The next morning, as the first rays of sunlight kissed the earth, James and his father set out on a journey to a dense, mysterious forest that lay on the outskirts of their town. The forest was alive with the sounds of rustling leaves, chirping birds, and the occasional rustle of unseen creatures. The air was thick with the earthy scent of moss and damp soil. As they ventured deeper into the forest, James's father stopped abruptly and pointed to a young sapling standing tall amidst the undergrowth. Its leaves glistened with dew, and its slender trunk reached proudly toward the sky. "Tell me, James," his father began, "how does this tree grow so strong and steady?" James thought for a moment and replied, "It gets water from the soil and sunlight from the sky." His father smiled, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. "True, but imagine if this tree relied on another tree to grow. What do you think would happen?" James furrowed his brow, puzzled. His father continued, "If a tree depends on another for support, it will never grow strong on its own. The moment the supporting tree falls, it too will collapse." James's eyes widened as the weight of his father's words began to sink in. They walked further into the forest until they reached an ancient moss-covered well. Its stones were weathered by time, and the water below was dark and still. James's father picked up a small stone and dropped it into the well. The stone plunged into the depths, and a loud plop echoed through the silence. "Did you hear that?" his father asked. "Yes," James replied. "I heard the stone hit the water." His father's gaze was steady and piercing. "Now imagine if the stone refused to fall because it was waiting for another stone to accompany it. Would it ever reach the water?" James shook his head slowly. "No, it wouldn't." His father placed a hand on James's shoulder and said, "That's exactly what you've been doing, my son. You're like that stone, waiting for someone else to take the first step. You're waiting for others to decide your future. But life doesn't work that way. If you keep depending on others, you'll never reach your destination." James stood there, his heart heavy with realization. The forest seemed to hold its breath as the truth of his father's words washed over him. He thought of all the times he had hesitated, all the opportunities he had let slip away because he was too afraid to take charge of his own life. The weight of his dependence felt like chains around his ankles, holding him back from the life he truly wanted to live. From that day forward, James resolved to change. He began making decisions for himself, no matter how small or insignificant they seemed. At first it was daunting. He stumbled, made mistakes, and faced failures that left him questioning his abilities. But with each step, he grew stronger, more resilient, and more confident. He learned to trust himself and his instincts. Years passed, and James transformed into a successful entrepreneur, admired by many for his courage and determination. One day, a young boy approached him, his eyes wide with curiosity. "Sir," the boy asked, "what is the secret to your success?" James smiled, his eyes reflecting the wisdom he had gained over the years. "The day I stopped depending on others and took charge of my own life, everything changed. Success and self-confidence come when you take responsibility for your own actions. If you want to change your life, stop waiting for others. Take the first step today." Moral of the story: life is a journey that only you can navigate. While seeking advice and guidance is valuable, relying too much on others can stunt your growth. True success and confidence come from taking responsibility for your own decisions and actions. Like the tree that stands tall on its own and the stone that must fall independently, you too must learn to rely on yourself. Stop waiting for others to lead the way. Take the first step, embrace your mistakes, and grow stronger with every challenge. Your destiny is in your hands.